So what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Richard Taylor, and I'm here with a very serious matter this Monday afternoon. I'm here in Goldsboro, North Carolina, when I just left the scene of possibly uh, a fifth death that may be related to illicit substances that were tainted. Now, I was out of town from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I just got back yesterday, but while I was gone, somebody sent me a Facebook post from yesterday, and I talked to that individual, and they were informing me of three deaths that happened within a 3 day period: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they provided me with information on each of those situations. And unfortunately, all three of those individuals have expired, but their expiration has some commonalities to it. And also, their lifestyle had some commonalities to it. And this information is public knowledge, so I'll go ahead and share this with you. The first death occurred uh, was Richard Scott Lane. And according to the individual that told me about his death, people referred to him as Scotty. Now, they said that he was found um, on the intersection or near the intersection of 795 and Ash Street, more specifically the Waynesboro Park area off 117. They said that he was found in sort of a creek or a pond. Now, Richard Scott Lane, or Scotty as he was called, was only 40 years old, and he has had a history and battle with substance abuse, something that I myself have battled with, so I'm not ashamed, and I understand that plight and that battle. Fortunately, for Mr. Lane, he succumbed to a possible overdose while using those substances. Now, once again, his death does remain under investigation, but as the people that I talked to him knew him very closely, said that he engaged in some substance abuse. Now, another body was found early Saturday morning, and that body was that of Mr. Billy Wayne Sanders. And Mr. Wayne Sanders' body, from my understanding, was found at the Irish Inn. Now, the Irish Inn is really close to what was formerly known as Tent City, where a lot of homeless people, a lot of people suffering with addiction and substance abuse issues, they lived, and a lot of people who, battle that particular problem frequent that area. And according to this article, that the Department of North Carolina Adult Corrections and Probation Parole did a welfare check on Mr. Sanders and found him unresponsive. And that was once again at the Irish Inn. Once again, his death is under investigation. Now, the last death, well, not the last death, because as I told you, one just happened this morning. But the one that happened yesterday was that of her name was Shauna Kristen Alves. Chanel Kristen Alves, and she was 34, only 34 years old, and her body was found in a tent in the wooded area behind Ollie's, or the ABC store. Once again, Alves was actually listed missing by her sister. Um, uh, if I'm not mistaken, it was possibly a week earlier. I was informed that her sister made a Facebook post relating that she hasn't seen or talked to her sister in a particular amount of days, and She was last seen standing in front of the Super 8 Motel, which unfortunately is also frequented by our people who are suffering from addiction. And and as it was told to me that she was found in a tent. A couple of people found her. She was only 34, and if I'm not mistaken, I was told that she is the mother of 6 children as well. Then I heard just now that it was actually 2 deaths at the Irish Inn on that same night. Now, I haven't received any details of that, so I can't confirm or deny that. But then just today, as I was driving home from the bank, the police officer was behind me. Every turn I made, he made. And I was like, oh, Lord, here we go again. But as we got onto this particular street, Isla Street, on my way home, then I saw where they had the fire truck. It was about 4 or 5 police cars, paramedics, and some other authoritative vehicles there. And I realized that that's where the officer was going to. And of course, I got out and began, doing my own preliminary investigation. And it was told to me as soon as I got out that a woman was dead in that particular house. And it was a possibly related to substance abuse. And and you can go back and watch that video, because as I was taping that video, more information surfaced about who that person was, the conditions of her death, and it was confirmed, by family members that she did suffer from substance abuse, and actually had experienced a similar near-death experience a few months ago. But evidently, according to paramedics and reports, and I just received the message that a body was taken out. So that individual, unfortunately, is also deceased. And that individual I actually grew up with, went to school with, hung around in our pre-adult years or early adulthood years together out in the street. So that one hit kind of hard. Now the first 3, and this doesn't matter, but just giving context, the first 3 individuals, Billy Wayne Sanders and Richard Scott Lane, they were white males, and Kirsten Alves was a white female, while this individual was a black female around the age of 46, 47, my same age. And I don't have any information on the reported 5th death. And if I get information about that, that may be considered later. But what I want to talk about is, first of all, addiction. Addiction. I've suffered from addiction as well, so I can't understand the desire to want to stop doing something but not being able to, or not wanting to stop doing something because the feeling that you get when you do those things. And so I never condemn anyone who is on substances, because once again, I've been there myself. But it's something when you know that apparently we're talking about 5 deaths in 4 days, possibly related to substances that are tainted or laced with individual products that can kill you. And once again, to not take that into consideration, especially now. Like, if I was still using cocaine or whatever it was I was using, I would be definitely afraid to get anything unless I saw it come off the boat from Colombia right now. If I got it from the poppy fields of Pablo Escobar himself. From what I hear, that there are a lot of individuals who are purposely putting the drug fentanyl in their products, be it methamphetamine, be it cocaine, be it crack cocaine, heroin, pills. And they're mixing it in there in an attempt to make their particular drug more potent or more addictive. And in doing so, we see the adverse effect from this attempt. Now, also, it has been told to me by people in that life that people are actually buying fentanyl straight off, straight up to use. Now, once again, if you haven't been there, you can't condemn anyone, but the logical mind would tell you, okay, this stuff will kill you. So why would I try to use this substance to get high when the improper dosage may result in my untimely demise? But once again, you're not dealing with a logical mindset when you're dealing with people who are suffering from substance abuse and mental health issues. Now, fentanyl is a drug. Like my daughter's mother was in the hospital for quite some time, a few months back, and they actually gave her fentanyl for the pain. But it was in such small amounts, like they're regulating that usage of the potential deadly substance in their medical expertise. But you have these people out here who are trying to implement such techniques in a world where they don't have that much experience or expertise to be able to put that much of amount of a substance in something to ensure that it does not take the life of the one who ingested. And as I stated in the previous video, if I was, and once again, I don't understand. If I was in that life and I was selling illegal substances to people, I would never put anything in there with the potential of killing my customers. Because if I kill all of my customers, then what am I going to, how I'm going to make money? It's senseless to me. And I guess that's a form of greed I'm going to make this stuff so potent that, they're going to want to come to me and only me. But when you're seeing 5 deaths in 4 days, and this is just this time period, we know of other overdoses that has happened over the months and years here recently. But if this continues, then there's not going to be any people left to consume these things. Now, people may say, well, they deserve what they get. No, these people are mothers, these people are fathers, our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our sisters, who are loved, and they have just fallen into a bad way. Now, once again, I think in 2018, when I consumed what I thought was regular powder cocaine, and I took 2 sniffs of it, and I went dizzy, I fell out, I started having a stroke, convulsing, body functions doing everything by themselves. And this was in 2018, before the prevalence of what we call fentanyl. Fentanyl has been related to these overdoses. So in my mind, in hindsight, I think that I may have gotten a taste of that and possibly, was on my way out. Fortunately, by the grace of God, he sent somebody saw me laying on the street and called the ambulance, and they got me to the hospital in time, where, I was able to get the medical attention needed. I was actually paralyzed. I couldn't speak. I had a stroke. By the grace of God, I'm here to talk to you today. So I am one of the blessed ones. I'm fortunate enough to sit here and tell you about what those things can do and how instant. If you've heard my story, I talked about how I used to stay up for nights and nights on end, sniffing powder cocaine, 8 balls at a time, those things like that. So 2 scoops of something that I thought was cocaine almost took me out because somebody, and I actually, like, I saw the guy usually get it from go next door and get it from another guy. And so, once again, I don't fault them, I fault myself. But that could have taken me out. So um, I just want people to be aware if you're out there in that lifestyle, and and now it's not, once again, they from my understanding that they are putting it in all of the drugs, methamphetamine, heroin, crack, coke, even weed, I hear. So nothing is out there and is safe when you are trying to get substance that's going to alter your mind, alter your mental state, alter your state of being in. Now we have to deal with the solution. We know what the problem is. So what is the solution? What are the and once again, I know it's not, police cannot, and with all due respect, I said prevent crime. What they do is arrest people after crimes are committed. Never in my 46 years have I ever saw a police officer prevent a crime, which doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I have not seen it myself. So it is up to members of the community to attack this situation head on. And trust me, it is an epidemic. It is not a crisis, as some put it. It is an epidemic in which people have contrasted the epidemics of the 80s and the opioid crisis of today, and how they are policed or handled differently, where we actually have organizations and actually government organizations and clinics where people suffering from these things can go and get a substitute for that drug that is equally or more addictive than that particular drug. Or you have organizations giving these individuals syringes and materials to use under the guise of making sure that they are clean and not passing diseases. Who cares if you're passing a disease if you're killing yourself every day by injecting a poisonous, and as we see, a possibly lethal substance in your veins, in your nose, in your mouth? So I think that is a testament to the wrong tactics of trying to attack this issue. Because in the early 80s with the crack epidemic, users were locked up. Not saying that that was right as well, but users were locked up at too much of an alarming rate, first of all, but also for an exorbitant amount of time. 120 of crack would get you 15, 17, or 20 years in certain states, which was, of course, a part of a more sinister plot, which is another video for another time. However, a lot of those individuals that were locked up or were taken away from the ability to use those drugs was able to rehabilitate themselves on the inside and come out and be a more productive citizen. Some, not all, because once again, addiction is a lifelong struggle. By the grace of God, I will reach, God willing, 5 years in November. However, if you are allowing these individuals who are using potentially dangerous substance to stay out and use those substances comfortably without fear of retribution, then you're actually promoting, in my opinion, death in a certain regard. Instead of saying, look, if you use this, yeah, we're going to put you in jail, where you can detox. And I've been in jail with some guys coming off of that heroin and and those opioids. They're shaking, they're sweating, they're hot, they're cold. They take off all their clothes, they put it under the covers, splashing water on their face, they're throwing up. So I've seen the detox and the sickness of these substances. So I just want everybody out there to take heed, share this video, not for the likes or the subscribers, but to get the message out, especially around here in this little town of Goldsboro, where um, we are losing lives at an alarming rate. As we see, this is, if this is correct, the information I get is correct, this will be 5 deaths in 4 days. And once again, these are mothers, these are fathers, sisters, brothers, aunties, uncles, grandparents, even. And so we have to look at it from a more humane standpoint rather than, oh, that was just an addict, or, they need to get their life together, or, because anybody, as we see throughout the annals of time, addiction holds no bounds, no barriers, no race barriers, no class barriers, no sex barriers, no sexual orientation barriers, no religious barriers, no educational barriers. I just got a call from a new client today who went to Johnson C. Smith, graduated with honors. Now he's 60 years old and still battling addiction. So, we have to take all those things into consideration and have compassion for our fellow human citizens, man, because this one hit me kind of hard, because I saw the young lady walking up and down the street a couple of times. I stopped and hollered at her, chopped it up. She seemed to be doing really well at that particular time. But according to, once again, a family member, she had fallen back into certain substances, and unfortunately, she had a previous incident where she was near death, but this time, unfortunately, she succumbed. So I want to just caution people out there selling too, because if you are selling substances like that, you too should be held accountable. You should be, knowing you. I mean, I don't care. You call me what you want to. You should be charged with murder if you're selling drugs knowingly. Now, once again, and then you have to consider the chain of command. Okay, I get it from this guy. I get it from this guy. He gets it from this guy. You don't know what's been put on it in between. However, ignorance is no excuse. What they say, possession is 9/10 of the law. So if you are in possession of something and you are distributing something that is in turn killing another individual, then you must be held accountable as well. But some may think otherwise. But I'm just alarmed because once again, if I was in that position, I would be making sure all of my stuff was pure and clean, so my customers can keep coming back, keep my income going. I don't know what is going on in the mind of these new age hustlers, I call them, where I don't, they get off on killing their customers. I don't know, but nevertheless, man, 919-587-7782. If you have a loved one who is struggling with addiction and you don't know what to turn, and you don't know what to do, or even they don't know what to do, give me a call, 919-587-7782. Have a few programs. I went to a very, very successful program out in the mountains of Asheville, which was very instrumental in my newfound sobriety. So, yeah, I would, feel free to reach out to me, because, this, once again, this is an epidemic. It's not a crisis. It's an epidemic where we're seeing lives lost at an alarming rate in such a small town like this, but not even this town, but all across the nation we see these things. So, peace and blessings. Y'all be careful out there, and I wish everybody the best. Much love.